Biddy Fraser-Davies is an artisan cheesemaker who's won international awards for her cheese. She owns and operates her very small-scale operation, and it's the size of her business that's caused Biddy to become involved in ongoing battles with government agencies over auditing and compliance costs.
We are, I suppose, the typical cottage industry, small production, high value. And I just make hard cheese, the one sort of hard cheese, traditional farmhouse cheese, which has been made for hundreds of years. I make it entirely traditionally. At the moment, we're milking 4 cows. Under the terms of my risk management plan, I am not permitted to have more than 6 milking cows. So I have 4, and we'll probably keep it at 4. Because we're so small, we can milk the cows, meticulously, so that when they come in, the udder is completely cleaned and washed, and, each titty is wiped thoroughly and dried. And we do a paddle test every day on every cow, every quarter. The main thing with cheese making is that you've got to have really, really good, healthy milk. For an operation like mine, it's really paramount that you have really good quality milk. My neighbours think it's hilarious that I'm milking just 2 or 3 cows. I mean, they're milking hundreds, and that I've got a pit. So Colin makes all the feeds and everything else, and that works really well. He keeps the front end happy and quiet while I deal with the business end.
When we visited, Biddy was making raw cheese, but this particular cheese is not for public sale.
I'm making a raw cheese, which means that literally 5 minutes after it has left the healthy cow's udder, it is in the vat. And the culture is added. The physical handling of milk makes a huge difference to the quality of the cheese. In a farmhouse cottage industry situation, this is where it's brilliant, because I do the milking, I make the cheese, I know the quality of the milk, and I can get going. In this particular case, I've made a 3-cow cheese so that I've got the milk from all 3. But generally speaking, I would make a separate cheese for each one. I sell at the farm gate, and I sell at 3 sort of high-end restaurants in Wellington: Logan Brown, the White House, Shed 5, a couple of good quality delis, Cess Cheese in Featherstone, entrees in Petone, and people, tourists passing by who see the notice on the highway. This is a raw cheese for our own consumption only. I'm not allowed to sell it. When I am pasteurizing, I would take it up to 72 degrees and hold it there for 15 seconds, and then I cool it rapidly. But it's just so much easier to make a proper cheese. There are 3 enzymes in raw milk which are specifically designed by the cow to inhibit the growth of pathogenic material. And unfortunately, heat treating destroys those. So your treated cheese, although it's quite safe in the cheese room, but it leaves your cheese more vulnerable for subsequent contamination. Our turnover mind, not profit, is around about, last year was 33,000. And out of that, there are all these huge compliance costs. I'm supposed to be audited by a recognised authority for dairy, and this is part of my risk management plan. This is the sticking point at the moment because, unfortunately, there are only 2 recognised agencies for dairy. One is Assure Quality, the other is Eurofins. An audit cost for one single audit would be $4,000 plus. And it's just not affordable, not on top of all the other things, They should have another level for artisan cheesemakers. They should accept that on a cottage industry scale, you are not going to be a huge risk from a food safety point of view. They started off with this micro cheese making thing, that if you had less than 6 cows or 10 buffalo or 24 sheep or 24 goats, and your milk volume limit was 1,000 litres a week, you would come under these new regulations. And I keep asking, if you're under that thing, why can't the people who meet those specifications be audited by the local authority environmental health officer, which would be much cheaper, probably would only cost you about $250. Initially, I had a license from my local authority environmental health officer. It cost me $100 a year. He was a very fussy gentleman, he's retired now, and he was entirely happy with my setup. Then I came to the attention of the New Zealand Food Safety Authority, and they sent 3 inspectors down to inspect me, who said that my premises were the cleanest they'd ever inspected, but because I didn't have the right paperwork, I was obviously a terrible danger to the public. And from $100 a year, at that time my turnover was around about 20,000, it went up to 5,500. And I couldn't possibly manage that. It wasn't economic. So, I mean, the guys at MPI were doing their job. That's what the regulations said. So, in fairness, I thought, well, the regulations need changing. So I went to Parliament. And it's been 5 years now, and I'm still battling. And it's only because I'm a stubborn old woman that I'm still there. And all the other lovely small cheesemakers have closed down and disappeared. And that's sad.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.